Let us begin by introducing you to a logic puzzle famously known to be difficult, the "Have I passed the AUC logic test" puzzle. 100 AUC first-year students are locked up in room 101 of the AB. They have taken their logic test and they have all passed it, though they do not know this yet. The logic department decides to give the students one last challenge to see if the students really deserve to pass the course and make up the following game. All students are given a paper hat to wear, but they are not allowed to see the colour of this paper hat they are wearing. There are two possible colours, green hats and red hats, to represent a pass and a fail for the test respectively. All students know this. Every 5 minutes, the logic team will ask anyone who believes they wear a green hat to come forward. If a student who steps forward is wearing a green hat, they will be allowed to leave the classroom.
Yay!
However, if they are wearing a red hat and come forward, they will have to retake the logic course. Students are not allowed to speak or signal to each other. Students are not allowed to take off their hats or use any reflective surfaces to check their hat's colour. Every student can see the hats of the other 99 students. No student wants to risk retaking the course. Since all students passed the test, they are all wearing green hats. And since they passed the test, they should all be perfect logicians and should not make any inferencing errors. Now, you are invited into the classroom. The logic team have decided to allow you to help the students by communicating one statement to them. The statement must comply with the following rules. It must be one sentence. It cannot contain any information that is new to the first-year students. This problem is strange. What can you tell these students which they already know, yet will allow them to figure out that they wear a green hat, unless of course they did not deserve to pass the logic test, in which case nobody can save them. Suppose that such a statement exists, then since it contains no new information, it must be the fact that it is communicated that allows the students to get to know something they didn't know before. This points to a difference between what we call shared knowledge and common knowledge. Keeping this in mind, let's turn to a simpler version of the same problem. In the problem that we will discuss, try to catch the key information that will give you the solution to the famous "Have I passed the AUC logic test" puzzle. Recall that the logic teacher gives an opportunity for students to come forward every 5 minutes. Also, that all of the 100 AUC students want to leave the classroom, that they are perfect reasoners and that they will not risk coming forward unless they know for certain that they are wearing green hats. Both muddy children and AUC logic students do not get the chance to communicate directly with each other. But as with the muddy children, the AUC students may perhaps learn something from what their peers know. That is, what they are certain or uncertain about. For the children, certainty and uncertainty is expressed by means of a yes or no, in response to the father's questions. For the AUC students, this information may be conveyed by seeing whether other students come forward and approach the logic teacher. If they do not, that means they are unsure of the colour of their hat. But if they do, they must be certain that they have a green hat, or else they would not risk it. No student wants to retake the logic course. The conditions are exactly the same, except for one crucial piece of information that the muddy children had, but the AUC students don't. This information is what you, as their saviour, can provide them with through uttering just one statement. What is this piece of information? What public announcement can you make to the students that contains no new information, but is nevertheless a game changer? After pondering a while, you come up with a brilliant idea.
Aha! How about if I say,
at least one of you has a green hat?
You first imagine a hypothetical scenario in which there are only two students, student A, who is wearing a red hat, and student B, who is wearing a green hat. They look at each other. After the statement, at least one of you has a green hat, is publicly announced to them, student A would still be uncertain about her hat colour. However, student B would know that she must be the one wearing the green hat, or else the statement that at least one out of the two students is wearing a green hat would be false. Thus, when 5 minutes pass, student B will escape the classroom. But the situation is different if both were wearing a green hat. Both would be unsure regarding their hat colour after being given the information that at least one of them wears a green hat, since they both think that the other person could be the only one out of the two wearing a green hat. Neither dares to approach the logic teacher when the chance arises after 5 minutes. But right after that, they both realise that they must be wearing green hats, for the other person would have left the classroom if one of them was wearing a red hat. So after another 5 minutes, both students will happily leave the classroom. How about if there were 3 green-hatted students? All of them will be uncertain in the beginning because all of them can see that at least one other person is wearing a green hat. Imagine you are A. This is your reasoning.
Suppose I'm wearing a red hat. I can see student B and C are wearing green hats, so I expect that after the first 5 minutes have passed, they will both stay in the classroom. This is because each of them sees the other wearing a green hat. If after another 5 minutes interval, they both leave, then I will know for sure I have a red hat. On the other hand, if both are still around, that must be because I have a green hat too.
And since they indeed stay after 10 minutes, on the 15th minute, all 3 of them leave. We see that when there are 2 green-hatted students, it takes them 10 minutes for both to leave the classroom. When we have 3 green-hatted students, it takes them 15 minutes. The same pattern of thinking extends to 4 students, 5 students, 6, and finally 100 green-hatted students. The time required for all the students to leave is precisely the duration of the interval between the chances to leave, in this case 5 minutes, multiplied by the number of students. I wonder then how long it will take for our 100 AUC students. Oh no! Will the poor AUC students have to stay in the cold academic building overnight? There must be a better way. Only you can save them.
At least 99 of you have
Green hat.
And with that, the AUC Logic students are freed, and the Lannister children, having washed their faces as needed, are now ready for supper. That seems to be an ending decent enough, although wouldn't you agree that a party is not quite perfect without a bottle of beer?